I hate this part because it says it's going and I know it's going, but it says it's not going. So I'm just like, oh, wait. Okay. There we go. So now I think we're live. We are live. All
Awesome.
right, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Monday night and it's the first Monday of the month. And when the first Monday of the month happens, dad's away, so the kids will play.
Great.
That's the way it happens, right? Listen, so John is out tonight, as he is, like I said, the first Monday of the month. And he goes, so what do you guys want to talk about? And he was like, you know what? We have not done a Q&A night in a little while. And I said, can we please do that? And he said, yes. So here's what I'm going to throw out to you. If you have a question that you want to ask, you need to make sure that you drop it into the chat on YouTube. If you put it into one of the 8,000 things that John has this set up to stream to, guess what? We're not going to see it. Nope, not going to see it at all. So you need to make sure you're using the YouTube channel to send that out. Hey, Robin, thank you very much for joining us. Dropping a little high emoji. And to tell you what, if you are watching us on YouTube, even if you're one of those silent watchers where you don't chime in from time to time, you're like, listen, I don't have a question. I just want to hang out. Say hi. But we'll say hi back.
That's right.
We'll say hi back.
Well, I
But
won't
you
know
have to
who's
do it on
there.
YouTube. Because if you
Yeah.
do it someplace else, I'm going to be mean and ignore you because I told you I can't see what's going on there. So before we get into Q&A, though, I'm curious, Kevin, how was your weekend? How
Uh,
did that go for you?
the weekend was amazing. I had a groomzilla, self-proclaimed groomzilla. I didn't think he was. He was just
Okay.
one of those super anxious guys that really had to have a lot of hand holding. Like he just, as a matter of fact, when I got back from vacation on Thursday, they wanted to set up a call. And I'm like, Aaron, one of these times you're just gonna have to let everything go because something's gonna happen out of our control to be, and we're gonna laugh about it. Nobody's gonna know it's gonna be minute, but something is just gonna happen. Thank goodness nothing ever did. But I wanted him to be able to enjoy it. I'm like, if you don't get out of your head, you're not gonna enjoy it. If you worry about it way too much. The bride, super laid back. Oh my gosh, she was the most laid back person ever. Um, he and his mom was a stress monster.
Oh,
Um,
so that's where you got it from. Okay.
yeah, it came naturally. Great wedding, great ceremony. Um, everything went off without a hitch. It was one of those ones, knock on wood. Everything just worked really, really well.
Nice. Hey, DJ Eric, thank you very much for checking us out. That's good to hear. That's good to hear that you didn't have to I don't know, almost eat your words on that
Yeah.
one. Because that would be kind of sucky.
And I was a little anxious myself because he was making me anxious, honestly, a little bit. But I'm coming back from vacation with the time, the jet lag and stuff, and I didn't feel like I was super prepared for it as much as I usually do for weddings. But it came off. Thank goodness everything came off perfectly. Just the years of experience and a lot of repetition and being able to do it just made it go smoothly. So, like I said, knock on wood. Thank goodness it went great. How
Nice.
about yours? You have one
Nice.
this weekend?
I did. I did it. This last weekend was my last of my doubles. Um, until probably fall. Hey Rob, thank you very much for checking us out. So I had a school dance, an 8th grade formal, on Friday night, and then I had a full wedding on Saturday. The the school dance went okay. It was interesting. I did their Valentine's Day dance, and their Valentine's Day dance for this middle school is all ages, right? So it's not a large school by any means, but when you have, I don't know how many's in their middle. I'm going to assume it's like 6 through 8. It may have been 5 through 8. I don't know, but it was a decent number of kids, right? Man, they were like off the wall that night. It was anything that I played, back in February. It was just like bananas. And they tell them to jump, they would like try and hit the ceiling. Like it was crazy. Friday night, just the 8th grade, small group,
Yep.
like small group. And so I think some of it was because it was a small group. I think some of it, because there's not as many numbers. I think also it was a nice night, right? We're into spring, summer, type of thing. So you just don't have some of the people coming out. But man, it was just like, I get them going. And if I didn't tell them to keep doing something like every 30 seconds, they would just kind of like stop. And they take selfies and they do whatever. And it was like, all right, let's hear ya. And they sing for like half of a chorus. And then all of a sudden they would like stop. And it was just like, it was like that for like the first hour. Just couldn't keep it going. The second hour or like the last 45 minutes, different story. Now they were warmed up. Now they got into it and they had a little bit more fun. Man, it was tough. But Saturday, love this venue. Absolutely love this venue. It's nearby us. It's a brewery. One of those places that they found out about me and added me to their preferred list before I ever really did a wedding there. Like that, it was that kind of place, right? So absolutely love that. But we get there, and they've since the last time I was there, the day of management had kind of changed. So I'm all set up. I've got my I think it's a bigger room. I probably could have done my evolves, come to think of it, but I felt like it was a bigger room. So I brought my 18s on the bottoms and my 12s on the top, and I have everything plugged in. Don't have anything on yet. Turned on my laptop. That was about all I had got. All of a sudden, power goes out. But it was like a partial power type of thing, right? So it wasn't like the whole room was out. It was just like it was weird. It was almost like a brownout type of situation. But I was like, well, maybe that's their emergency, like their emergency lights on what
Right.
Coordinator comes out and she goes, so she's like, these two are on the same breaker. These two are out here on the side. We're going to have you run out to the sides. Do you have tape? Get extension cords tape. And I go, never had to do that before. She's like, well, ta-da, today you did. And I looked at her and go, I don't have anything on yet. She went sheet white. She's like, well, they're on the same breaker as the lights. I don't know what to tell you. I said, I have a laptop on. I don't think that caused it. And if it did, we've got bigger problems. And she's like, okay. She's like, well, let me go check. It was like in partial power throughout the building. She's like, it's really weird. None of our breakers are saying they're flipped, but we've got some places don't have power. Some places have full power. And this also is a restaurant. And so like the whole building's is like freaking out. Come down, find out a major transformer in town blew.
Oh,
The whole borough, or not maybe the whole borough, but like a large majority of the borough was without power. And she never did apologize for accusing me, but it was just one of those things. So it's like, okay, what do we do? And we start figuring out, and we're supposed to start at 4. We're hearing 6:30 is gonna be the soonest it's gonna come on, and they're trying to figure out. I was like, listen, whatever you need, we need to say later, whatever, we'll just do it. We won't worry about it. Let's just make the day for the bride and groom. They're like, okay, great. They were so happy to hear that. And that's gonna be my tip on Wednesday, by the way. When I do my video, I'm gonna mention, like, if you want to make sure that the key to getting on a venue's best side is doing everything you can for the couple and making them look good. Because that was the thing. As soon as I said that, she's like, oh, there are good people in this world. She's like, we need to get you back here more often. I hadn't played a single note. This woman had never seen me before in life. But the groom was like he was frustrated, obviously, but he knew it was out of his control. And then he goes, you Mifflin, like, like he was mad. Second he said that, power came right back on. We started 15 minutes later. That was all that we ended up having to do. That tiny little piece, 15 minutes and we were good to go. And we had a great time. The whole rest of the night was great. There was a great crowd, which is one thing I needed. I had a couple weddings that were good weddings, but they just weren't really, you know what I mean?
no,
like that wedding that makes you go, yes, I love this. I could do this every night.
Yep.
I didn't have those for a couple weeks, and it was really starting to weigh on me. I had that Saturday, and it was awesome. It was awesome. That was a long story. I'm sorry.
No, it's a good one. I mean, the power thing, like I said, and getting on the venue's good side, that's powerful. I mean, I don't understand how DJs come in sometimes, and you hear horror stories, and you look at some of these chat boards, and they want to be that guy. Like, no, I got to be here. I got to be here. Like, we're all on the same team to make sure this couple's event is successful. And the more you get on venues, because of bridal food chains, they're first. They book a venue first, and then they go look for everything else. So if that venue's referring you because you've worked there and you work together as a team, they're going to push you like none other, and it makes your booking season a whole lot easier. But you going in, being difficult to work with, going, I can't be here, or I've got to have this, and making demands, they're not going to want you back.
And even to the point, like when we were talking about, like the power came back on, and the venue coordinator was trying to figure out if we were going to need even just an hour, right? Because these people were trying to get dressed, they were trying to get showers.
Sure.
We didn't know how long it was going to push some things back. So she's like, if we started an hour later, and she wouldn't say it, but she was dancing around the idea of me staying an extra hour. And then finally I was like, you mean stay an extra hour? And she's like, yeah. I was like, are you guys able to do that? Because some places have noise ordinance type of things and they have to be done. So I didn't know what was the situation here. And she's like, oh yeah. I said, yeah, I'm in. Like that was all. That's the only thing I needed. I said, no cost. We won't, we'll scrap it. We start an hour later. We're going an hour later. Like I could have been that guy, right? Like it's time away from me being whole. So I get that why some people are like, well, if I need to be there longer, then I need to be paid more. But this is not in the couple situation. This is not, it's not like they said, you know what, we're going to start at 4. And then I showed up and set up and they said, you know what, just kid. We're going to start at 5.
Yeah, that's a whole different scenario.
That's a different story. This was out of their hands. And that's the things I think, if you're going to be a decent human being, you got to keep those things in mind. And it's going to make all the difference in the world for your couples. It's going to make all the difference in the world with your vendors that you work with. Yeah.
They're going to remember it. They're going to refer you. And it was, like you said, it's out of their control.
Definitely. Okay, so we chatted about that. That's good. Listen, if you had an awesome weekend, or you had a so-so weekend, or you had a weekend that you need to gripe about, I'm giving you permission. Drop it in the chat right now. Throw it in there to the YouTube. I don't care if it's I think there's probably a limit for how long you can type in YouTube. But give us the Reader's Digest version if you need to, because I want to see some of those stories as well. If they're really good, maybe we'll reference them. But if not, at least your brothers and sisters here in the industry are checking it out as well. So, but tonight is Q&A. And so I wanted to kind of go through this, and I wanted to pick a couple of these different questions that you have been sending us, and everything else, and making it look all good and everything, and making us look good, because you give us great content to talk about. Tonight's first question. It says, what program do you all use for weddings to present people's last name on the TV screen, all nice and pretty looking? Now, I'm going to back this up just a little bit. And I want to kind of make it a little broad, because I know, Cubbie, you don't use TVs.
Yeah, I'm not a screen guy
for anything, but you do custom monograms, correct?
Through Projectogram.
Okay. So what are you utilizing either to create those, to get those? Like what have you done to do that part?
Oh, I just use a company called Projectogram, and send Jim and Laura what I want, and want it animated or not animated, and they have it back to me in 24 hours. I send it to the bride, she approves it, and we're generally done deal. It's usually a one and done once I send it to Projectogram, and so it's super easy.
Projectogram or Projectogram?
Projectogram. God, I don't know what I'm saying it right. And everybody might know Jim is a guy from the industry. He works at Promo Only, Jim Weiss and his wife Laura. And they are amazing.
Oh, I think I found it.
Is it
Projectogram? I'm going to drop that into the YouTube chat. So again, another reason why you need to go over there and check that out, so that you can see that. So you're using that. I'll be honest with you, I must have used them or gone to that site. I not use them. I must have gone to that site at some point, because it immediately came up when I started to type it. Or somebody's listening to the conversation, probably a little bit of both. But that would be nice. On the other hand, I don't want to say I'm old school, because I think old school would be like ordering up the cut sheets of metal and shining some light through it. Taking, and as John he uses a flashlight, puts, cuts some tin foil, puts remember when you were a little kid and you had the tin foil or the aluminum foil, and you poke holes in it, you shine a light through it, and that's what John does.
Yeah,
that's what John does.
It's a Minnesota thing.
Well, it's advanced tech up there. Yeah. But for everybody else, you really should be on the projector side. It really is. Now, I understand the idea, like the Source 4s and the Lescos, Lecos, I know I know I said that wrong. Don't murder me, people. Okay. But basically I understand like the purpose for those, right? And I get it. They serve their purpose, right? And if you're doing those types of events where you need that type of piece, okay, I gotcha. But for the rest of us, a solid projector is key, because now I will say this: once you start making the projector pieces or making the monograms, you're cutting your cost way down. Or if you use projectogram and that, I'm assuming, I could be wrong, but I'm assuming their monograms are cheaper than like the old metal ones that we had to make. So in the long run, you're going to end up saving some money here. So however, I bought Michael Anderson. It was a DJ out in California. He was with Randy Bartlett for the longest time. After Randy retired, Michael continued on, and Michael did a lot of creation of these monograms as well as templates. And you could also order like custom made ones from him. But he had a bunch of templates. I bought the templates. And so now I make my monograms from those templates. I give the couples like 50 different like designs to kind of choose from. And I'm like, listen, if you don't like any of these designs, then we can chat and we can kind of maybe go outside the box here. I said, but at least start with this. And I would say all in my past, all but one couple has chosen something from this list. And then I drop it into Photoshop, I edit it and save it and then use it. The original question talks about TVs. I do the same type of idea with what I put on my TV. So on my TV, I get a picture of the bride and groom, picture of the couple, get their like an engagement photo, right? Something high quality. And then I take one of those template monograms with their names and I put that on top of the picture. And then I put it to the size of my TV, and that's what I put it on. And I do all that in Photoshop. I cannot tell you the number of people that have taken a picture of my setup because it has had a picture of the couple on the front. If you are going the DJ furniture route, and I'm going to say the furniture route, the stands, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking the stands. Stands are great. But if you're talking more the furniture style and the rolling boost, get yourself a TV on the front and do something with it. If you don't have to spin music videos, right? Like I think that's what a lot of people are like, oh, I have a TV, we got to do music videos. No, you don't. Get something, put a picture up there, put a monogram up there. And just this past Saturday, easily 10 or 11 people took a picture of the front of my booth with the couple on there. And oh, by the way, just above it is my laptop with my skin on it. So what is in all of their pictures? Probably also my branding. So it's something that I would highly recommend taking advantage to do. All right. I think we beat that one to death. So we're going to pause for a second so that Michael can know how to chop all this up and put it into our videos that you're all going to see later on in the month. So we'll pause for a second. All right, now we're back. So here's the next question that we're going to go. And these came from John. John was nice enough. He said, you know what, if I'm not going to be there, I'll still give you a couple questions. He said, first question here is, how do you open a dance floor and do the first set at a wedding? What do you do, Cubbie?
I do a multi-generational classic playlist for the like first 5 or 6 songs just to see what's really hitting. Songs like Footloose, Dancing Queen, September, Uptown Funk, little Taylor Swift, something that is kind of multi-genre and all ages to get everybody real excited. And kind of just fun, safe, happy stuff. Is usually what I usually do.
Okay. Do you do anything to transition out, or like what is there a particular event or type of event that you're doing right before you're opening up the dance floor?
I do an all couples dance, not an anniversary dance, but all couples. And I
Okay.
explained to my bride and groom that it's a lot easier if I invite all the couples, married or not, come on out to the dance floor, and I let them choose a slow song, and we start with a slow song very first, and then I transition to a fast song. And the reason being is it's a lot easier. I may lose a few people, but if I got everybody on the dance floor, um, some people may leave, but it's easier than just having a mother-son song and only two people on the dance floor trying to get a packed dance floor. So other things I've done, sometimes the bride and groom want like a shot of all their guests at a reception. So I'll bring them out to the dance floor. They'll do a big, great group photo and then bang, hit them with something, you know. That one might be like a cha-cha or a cupid or something, maybe kick the night off with since I got everybody on the dance floor, but they're not dancing type thing. I might do something like that if the couple is wanting that photo.
I've seen a lot of different philosophies that are out there. The all couples dance is something that I used to do. I called it a well-wishing dance, and it was something I would use. It was like a little shtick I would do, or this little shtick I would say, and I would call it well-wishing dance. So it's called a well-wishing dance because for every couple that joins them on the floor, it's 5 years good luck for the bride and groom. So we want them to be married for a long, long time. So the more people that we get out here, the more that's going to happen. Man, I still remember that. That's kind of sad. Okay, anyway, because I haven't done that in like years now, I've kind of gotten away from it. Just out of my own kind of head type of thing. But that was something that used to go over well. And it's not the snowball dance, which used to
No,
be, I don't know, 90s, 80s type of mentality, but it's the idea of just getting all those couples, not worrying about who's been married the longest, who's been together the longest, not worrying about any of that, and just worrying about an opportunity for them to dance. I would also say this. I would say that if you're wondering, could I do something like that? I think that's also a safe way to open up your dance floor. Not saying like it's too safe and you shouldn't do it, but you have a lot of couples who will only or part of couples, right? Maybe not both sets, but one side of the couple that will only dance if it's a slow song. Right. And you can think about like when the dance floor opens, they're still sitting at the table and their partner is up on the floor. Right. Here's an opportunity to bring both of those people onto the floor and give them that moment. That doesn't cause you to have to stop down on your music later on. Right. Which I think is a good piece. So I like that idea. I like the photo idea. I will say that when I've done it, I hadn't done the line dance. And so I'm thinking that maybe next time I have to go that route, or I should say I have to go that route. Next time I go that route with the picture, that might be a good piece because I've dropped some, what I would consider, okay, this should be a lot of people like staying on the floor and I'll lose like half of them, which it still gives me quite a few on the floor, but it's because I've dropped maybe like a Whitney Houston or I dropped, a Lady Gaga Just Dance or, something like that. Something that's, usually a little cross generational, maybe, not completely, but more of a wide appeal type of song, but it just doesn't seem to hit
if you
quite like I would
imagine
like.
the photo, they're all generally in a line anyway, right? Bride and groom's
Mm-hmm.
in the front, people in the back, everybody see the head. They're already kind of lined up, ready to do the cha-cha or the cupid. All you got to do is hit it, and then they'll roll right into it.
It's a good thought. I gotta try that. I gotta try that. Um, I'm similar to you in the other part though, as far as the songs that I'm hitting. I try not to go too
Yeah,
fast. Because that can be a deterrent depending upon your couple. Now, obviously, if your couple's giving you direction, like hardcore direction on which way to go, that's one thing. But when I have couples that want to do a lot of new stuff, I really try and encourage them to, hey, I think that's a great idea, but what's the makeup of your audience? What's the makeup of the guests that are coming? Like, is it mainly just your friends? Or are we going to have a lot of people that are potentially your parents' age? Oh, you're going to have a lot of both. Well, then why don't we try and meet somewhere in the middle, at least to start? I will throw a newer song within my first maybe five or six so that the younger crowd, they're going to stick around, but I don't want them to kind of go, man, when are we going to get something we want?
right.
Right. They don't have to be solid, but I don't want them to kind of lose interest or kind of just, oh, I'm just going to go hit the bar and not really pay attention to the music. I want them to kind of have that moment too.
I think that's where Taylor Swift's at right now, with me in that first set. She's she's come off that multi-million-dollar tours, records, and she's really hot right now,
Yeah,
unfortunately. So, doing a little T Swizzle, definitely pacifies the girls.
yeah, yep. I like that. I like that. All right, so we're gonna stop here for a second.
3, 2, 1.
All right, that's been more than a second. I know, I know, I know. All right, next up, when you're looking at an audience at a wedding, what are some of the factors? What factors do you use in deciding your song choices? And by the way, I'm going to say this right now. If you're following along and whatever, feel free to throw it in the chat. If you've got an idea or two, this is not just Cubbie and I. We want to hear from you as well.
Yeah, I want to hear
All
different
right.
ideas as well.
All right. So when you're looking at the audience, what are some factors you use in deciding your song choices?
Do I have to start again?
Yeah, because well, do you really
It's only
want me to
me
go
and you.
first? Yeah,
So
we can't.
I always feel
John, why don't you go? Ben,
um
nothing tonight. Okay, fine.
I'm looking for the age group and the way that they're dressed. So if they're very modernly dressed, young people, then I know I'm going to go like a lot of newer, songs throughout the evening. I see a lot of big belt buckles. I'm going country with a lot of Wrangler, that bitch and stitching on their ass. I will a lot of country on that one, some boots. And obviously a lot of older generation. Then, depending on the age of my bride, once again, everything is looking. Maybe a lot of 80s and 90s, Love Shacks, and some of the songs from the 80s and 90s. So, but I think, like I said, a lot of it with the way they're dressed, if they're hip, modern, kind of younger people, I'm going to say kind of newer poppy. If it's a country crowd, probably lean a little heavier on country. Older crowd will be 80s and 90s.
By the way, hey Steve Select, thank you very much for joining us. I'm with him. So his response was body movement. Now, what's kind of funny is I I start thinking about the stuff that I'm going to play when I see how they're responding to cocktail and dinner. If my couples give me kind of free reign in those time sets, I've got a couple different folders, crates, whatever you want to call it, to pull from that are a little 90s, an 80s song or two. Maybe I'm going back into, to some Motown. I've got some newer rock. I've got, not necessarily hip hop, but I've got some stuff that's got some toe tappers, right? And I'm looking to see what are they starting to respond to? I've got a couple like their sing-along type style. Do they suddenly break out in song at the table? Right? Or, because when you play Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way, if they start singing along, they're in a good mood already.
Yep.
And they're going to respond to some of the stuff like that. So when I'm looking for body movement, I'm looking for toe tapping, I'm looking for fingers, I'm like on the tables, I'm looking for the head bobs. Those are the things that I'm looking for, and I'm looking for before the floor actually opens. Um, I will take direction from my couples, but we're the ones who kind of have some experience here. So they know some things that are popular among their friends, but we also know the things that they're going to gravitate towards and they're going to pull from. So that's the things to keep in mind. Those are the things that you want to be looking for. Um, when you're thinking about like Hubby mentioned age, I think age is a great thing to be aware of, because that's going to also kind of give you a ballpark window on songs to maybe hit, right? So not just am I you mentioned belt buckles. Well, am I doing Shabuzi or am I doing Kenny Rogers, right? Like, so there's a difference there. There's a big difference there. Yeah, and Eric mentions the same thing. Main focus is the age of the group, which makes his music choice much easier, right?
Yeah.
There's been quite a few, and if you haven't watched, both Mike Walter has talked about this, Dave Lander has talked about this, regarding music programming and looking for that high school age, not the high school age of figuring out what age they would have been in high school, right? And that's going to be probably where you're going to find the songs that are going to have the biggest appeal all night long. However, I say that, and my couple this past weekend threw me for a loop, because my couple this past weekend, they would have been, based upon this, they would have been early to mid 90s would have been my pocket window, and they were more 2000s, like mid
Ah,
2000s. So as far as some of the things that responded to, so don't rely solely on
the
the
graduation,
the high
yeah.
school piece. It's just, it can be a good place to start from.
And I always like to drop fun songs like High School Musical every now and then. You want to see somebody lose their shit, drop a High School Musical song. And it'll take them back. It depends. Like I said, just going back. Don't be afraid to. Dave Landers in his musical birds, like, don't be afraid to play it. Just drop something just really rare that brings them back. And I get so many, oh my God, where'd that come from? And they just sing and dance, and it's crazy. Or like an old Joe Bro song, like not like a new Jonas Brothers song, but like an older Joe from their first album, like year 3000 or something. You want to take them back. That's fun.
Nice. I would say, if you're going to do that, all right, use the one tip that I mentioned in one of the Wednesday morning pieces. Um, have your next song ready.
Oh, always. Yeah.
Have your next song ready. Don't just drop this and go, okay, I'll figure out what to go next. Have that next song ready so that if it bombs, I'm going to go here, and if it completely hits, I'm going to go here. Just in case.
Yeah, when even like always think 3 songs ahead because you don't know where you're getting out of.
Yeah. Oh, Eric, he says I have a 70th birthday party this weekend. Can't wait to see what I'm going to play. Yeah, because the question is, are you playing for the birthday person, or are you playing for the guests? And are the guests their friends, or are the guests their family that might be potentially younger? So I would say, just have a little bit of everything ready. Um, and then kind of go from there. But yeah, you're going to be all over the chart with that, because I'm gonna bet you're gonna have all ages.
Yeah, I would go a heavy 70s and 80s and maybe a little bit of 60s. I mean, I sprinkle in too, like a few of the 50s, like Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis or something. Sprinkle. Not a lot, but sprinkle. But a
Yeah,
lot of 70s and 80s.
nice. And if it's those bigger hits, right? Like those old ones can be good
Yeah.
to work in, especially in that situation. Um, and go in that other route. So, all right, we'll pause here. Come back for our next one. All right, so this is John's last question here, and then we've got some others that we'll throw out. Last song of the night. How important is it, and how often do you plan it and set it up, that final song, at the wedding? I'm assuming he means set it up with the couple. You're
Uh,
starting us off. Don't look at me again.
Actually, just had a consultation this evening prior to the meeting, part of the show. And I do talk about that. How do you want to end your night? Do you want to do a solo dance and me kick everybody out of the room? Are you thinking a big group ending? A lot of times I like to play either Friends in Low Places and or Piano Man. And I get the group in a great big circle, get the bride and groom in the middle. And they're just drunk singing Piano Man and or Friends in Low Places, and everybody's arm in arm, just singing, having a great time. Sometimes the bride and groom break off and greet all their guests and give them big hugs or high fives and thank them for coming at that time, which is a great opportunity too. Sometimes I invite the parents in to share that moment with them after halfway through the song. But leading up to that, I'm doing like "Don't Stop Believing" and to shout and then hit that song. And sometimes I say like, "Dan and Brianna, it looks like you got a lot of friends in low places." And then I hit it and then they get I said, "Oh, need everybody in a great big circle." you know, and that's how I usually end my night. And it's just a big night like that. And then my last song
Nice.
of the night is always "Go Cubs Go." It
And
really
they
is.
still like you.
Yeah, even my Cardinal friends who like the Cardinals, but they know when they hire me that that's what they're getting. Last song of the night is, and everybody's usually singing it.
That's good. That's good, I guess. Um, so I'm with you in that I like to have it planned out. It's one of the things that I talk over with my couples. You know, there's not a lot of things that I ask them to pick, and I don't ask them to necessarily pick the last song, but I try and at least get in their head, right? So when we get to the end of the night, there's a couple different directions we can go. We can do a slow song where it's probably like you're used to at any of the other weddings you may have been to. We could do what I call as a circle of love,
That's
which
yeah.
is you guys in the middle and we get everybody around you. So it's not a dance for everybody, but it's kind of the idea of a first dance, but now we're doing it at the end. We can end on a fast song. So we, go out on a real high note. We can end in a sing along. It's the bar is closing, everybody's arm in arm, singing at the top of their lungs. Is there a style that you would like us to do? And that usually gets them thinking. I don't ask song right away. I usually ask style. Because once I get style out of them, then it kind of narrows it down for do they want to pick it? Do they want me to pick it? If it's the circle of love, I ask them to pick it because that's kind of a sweet moment, right? I usually want them to pick some song that might be special, even if it's not like a first dance special. And that usually works well. And then, of course, the other question that I usually then ask them also is, are we doing the private last dance? Right? Because if we're doing the private last dance, then how we also handle what's going to happen before that makes a big impact. But yeah, I like the idea of planning it. I like it. I feel like it's I don't know. I'm
Big
going to be
in.
worrying about I'm going to be worrying about a lot of things that night.
Yeah.
If I don't have to worry about the last song, I can now program that in my head. Okay, we're going to end with this. And then, okay, what song can I use to transition from wherever I'm at into that? And those two songs all have ready to go in my head. One, obviously, that I talked with a couple with, and the other one, just depending upon which direction we're going, helps me in that transition. Um, that's what I like to do. I mean,
Big starts, big endings, and everything in the middle is a memory. But if you leave them at the end. I mean, that's the last song. They're gonna memorize. They're gonna remember either that circle dance or that the circle of love, or they're gonna remember the high energy dance. I've scratched out of it. Like I've had a rager all night long. I'm like, man, we can't end like this. I'll scratch out of friends in a low place, and they'll look at me, and I'll hit like "Don't Stop the Party" or something, and just go hard again. I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I've done that a couple times. But yeah, the way you leave them is what they're going to remember too, because you just set the tone for the entire evening.
I try to be careful at some of my venues with going hard for the last song. And this sounds kind of weird, but I've got a couple of venues that I work with that they're just like, listen, when the end of the night comes, we want them out of here. Like we want to finish and we want them gone. So I'm not saying I'm not going to throw a banger if my couple wants me to end on a high note like that, but I don't want to create a scenario necessarily where they're starting to chant one more song and I have to go, sorry, I can't because the venue's not going to let me do that. Right. Like, and I've seen a lot of people have different philosophies. Oh, we'll end 5 minutes early. So if you're going to do an extra song or you're going to
Yes.
do an encore, you can do it. Okay. I don't know. I don't get me wrong. Like I don't want to, because I just realized probably the way that came across. Like I'm not going to play something great because the venue wants me to kick everybody out. That's not quite what I mean. But I have a lot of ways that I set up to where it's memorable that we're not going to have the drunks sticking around trying to just make the party go for an extra 6 hours. Right. That's I guess maybe that's the other way to kind of look at it
Yeah.
is that direction.
Know your crowd, know your venue. And like I said, sometimes I do the 10-minute ending early, or like, close to 7 minutes if I do get the one song. But I'm fortunate where I'm at. A lot of the venues I have give them 30 to 45 minutes to collect their gear, collect their stuff, and get out of there.
Yeah.
And
Well, they're
so,
okay with the couples doing that.
well,
Like that,
yeah,
I don't know if you
yeah,
notice, they're okay with the couples and like if they have a group of people that's helping them clean up, but it's the guests that just mill about.
yeah. That's gonna happen whether you have a big ending or a low ending sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
See, maybe I just tell them to get out, and that's what works.
Yeah.
Actually, I will say this. So when I'm doing a private last dance, I do have a little spiel that or shtick that I kind of do with it. So we're doing our thing and we get to the end and we, all right, let's hear it one more time for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. All right, now get out. And then I kind of half chuckle and everybody kind of half chuckles with me. And then I'm like, okay, I know I'm kidding, but and it's all serious. We need you to get out because we're going to give them a private last dance and we need everybody out of the room. This past Saturday, no joke. I had 4 people who went to their table and sat down. And I was like, no, you need to get out. And like the bride was even kind of like trying to go, you guys need to go. Like, we're going to do this private. We're going to watch on the mic. No, you're not, because I'm not going to play it till you get out. You can come back in and get your stuff, but you need to get out because we're going to give them a chance to be by themselves. And then they're like, oh, we really can't stay? No, it's a private dance. I don't know.
I build 10 minutes in for that because you got to go, like you said, got to get the drunk people out of there easily.
Oh, yeah. Totally with that. And I didn't have to worry about time. Like, we were fine as far as time was concerned, but it was just what I was like, are you kidding me? Like, really, people, are you kidding me? But no, that's neither here. That was an extra piece there. But no, I think it's important for you to plan that last song. I think it's where you're going to see some key parts. I think you're going to see some key ideas being set up there, and really just kind of help you find a way to get to the end. Right. That's another thing, right? If I'm going one direction, my last 20 minutes can be pretty much thought of in a direction. And if I'm going someplace else, then I know what those 20 minutes are going to look like. Or at least some general ideas for that. So, okay. Anything else we need to do with that?
No, I'm good.
All right. Let's pause.
Any comments?
No, I stopped watching the chat. Apparently we have 2 chats. I didn't realize we had 2 YouTube channels. Well, I knew we had two YouTube channels. I didn't realize we were broadcasting to both at the same time.
Oh,
so if you've been putting stuff in and you haven't been seeing me respond, I'm not ignoring you. I'm on the other channel. John Cawley found us. Found us. And Gus is probably still over on the other one. I'm sorry, Gus. Okay, we'll pause for a second. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. All right. So this was dealing with client meetings. And I think this is a good one to bring up. I think it's pretty straightforward here. What platform are you using for your virtual meetings? Is there something in particular you tend to use, Cubbie?
My platforms, I use Zoom. I use Zoom. I'm a Zoom guy.
Okay. And I'm the same. I've been using Zoom so long now. I feel like I know it pretty well. I use it for my day job quite a bit, like all the time. So it is very handy. However, I would say Teams could be utilized very easily as well. If you're not as familiar with it, you can set it up to where you are using Teams and they're joining. Like, they don't have to pay for the Microsoft Office suite in order to be able to join in a Teams meeting. So maybe there's some limitations on some things that you might have. There's a lot of different benefits both ways, I think, for either one. I like Zoom just because I feel like most people at this point, unfortunately, because of what happened 4 years ago, have a better sense of how to use it. And it's become a lot more commonplace.
Yep.
And so it becomes a lot easier for those couples to navigate and to be a part of. Again, it's free for them. There is a charge for you. Like, they've kind of buckled some of that down. And I forget what it is necessarily. It's like 40 minutes is kind of the limit. So you might have to pay if you have long meetings, but I link that with Calendly, and my scheduling of meetings and my virtual meetings have become so nice and easy. It's not even funny. So while we're at it, do you do anything with scheduling, Cubbie? Like, if like trying to set up that meeting with them, or do you just do back and forth email?
I do a back, well, yeah, DJ event planner, back and forth email. Just, then once I get the meeting in the books, then it goes right into my calendar through DJ event planner, sends out a reminder to them automatically. I have a reminder email set out to go out for the morning of, hey, don't forget we're doing a meeting today, either Zoom or in person, whatever. So yeah, I don't use, only because like I said, I don't know, it's more personable versus like, we're talking like, hey, what good, so you can call me where we're gonna meet at, stuff like that.
For the longest time, I was the exact same way. And it was kind of almost aggravating because it'd be like my window of my availability during the school year is pretty narrow. Right? I've got a couple of hours each night that I can do without creating too craziness. But then if my kids are busy, it's like I might only have a day or two that week that's open. And the rest is kind of is jam-packed. Karen Walker with Perfect Portals told me about Calendly, something that she's utilized for hers. And basically, you go, hey, we need to find a time to chat. Rather than doing this back and forth thing, here's a link to my calendar. You go in, pick the best time that works for you. Anything that you pick on that calendar is good. We'll have our meeting. You can sync it with your own calendars. It will read your personal stuff that you've got. So if you've got date night with your significant other and you put that into the calendar, now Calendly will not allow them, it will show you're busy. It will show that that is not a time that is available now for somebody to make that appointment. There's paid version, then there's free version, right? So there's obviously some different, bells and whistles depending upon what fits in with you. But oh my gosh, has it been nice not to sit and do back and forth emails trying to find a time that works because my kid's schedule might be crazy at the time when I probably should be meeting with them. Um, and I'll also be honest, it makes it nice so I don't have to go, well, this week I've got Monday and Tuesday, but next week I'm open for anything. And they go, well, next week doesn't work for us. What's the week after? I can just go. Just
I'm
go.
afraid I wouldn't update my calendar. I wouldn't update the calendar, whatever I can't ever say it right. Properly. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't block out the dates that I had something available and I'd get just as much in trouble.
Well, that's what I mean. So you get it to read, like when you're setting it up, you have it read your calendar. And if you use Google Calendar, it works really well. I use Apple Calendar, and there's a couple of little things that I have to tweak every once in a while just because of how I have it set up. But that's an issue. That's a me issue, not a Calendly issue. So I don't have to like if we just if suddenly our boys have something that gets put in the calendar, right? And so I can't have a meeting, it's in there. I don't have to like it's an I don't have to get into Calendly and change it. I usually get in about once a month and just kind of like tweak any times. Like certain days I have 4 to 8, other times I might do 9 to 5, and have them open or something like that. Well, I usually get in the beginning of the month and I go, okay, is there anything maybe I just need to have to adjust here? Like if I didn't adjust, that would be fine. But could I adjust and maybe make my window a little bit bigger for it? And so I'll do that like once a month. But I think it's a great option. It just makes it the digital scheduling thing, whether it's that or you can do Microsoft Office, you can do bookings links through there. Same concept, same idea. In fact, the same idea where it'll read your calendar. Um, I feel it. One, couples are kind of used to that, so it doesn't take that personal piece away from it. But it also, what happened for me one time is I got that response email and I shouldn't have checked it. And I did, which meant it was read, but I couldn't respond because of what I was doing. So then when I actually had time to remember to respond, I kind of forgot. It was like 2 or 3 days later. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go back to them and tell them, oh, that was for tonight where they said they had opened and I can't do that now. It's too late. So I sound like I'm pitching for Calendly. If only there was like a referrer code, that'd be really
Yeah,
awesome.
right.
Um, or if there is one, maybe I need to find it. But anyway. Oh my gosh, I am looking at that time. We did not really answer a ton of questions tonight, but hopefully we answered yours. And if we didn't, remember you can always send it to John or Cubbie or myself, and we'll be more than happy to throw it in the mix. And hopefully we can answer it for you, and you can have our questions answered, and you'd be much happier from there. But coming up next, we have Hanging with Howie, 10 o'clock. It is over there, DJNTV.com/chill. That is where you need to be. All right. That is the place you need to be. Don't go there just yet, but soon. All right. Again, if you're new to the kind of the concept of how things go, they do a recording, something that they're going to be talking about, and it takes about 20 minutes, half an hour, something along those lines. And then when they're done, they stop the recording, and then everybody's just hanging out, having a good time. And they're up till the wee hours of the morning chatting. You don't have to be. When you got to go, you got to go. But you can go over and check that out. And then coming up tomorrow, let me get my cheat sheet in front of me here. Coming up tomorrow, of course, John's got his tips in the morning. 9 o'clock tomorrow night, you got Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe. It's a best of that's going to be airing then. And then at 10 o'clock, you got the Tuesday Night Music Show, which is recorded again, DJNTV.com/chill. Wednesday morning is my tip. And then 9 o'clock, you got the Tuesday Night Music Show broadcast. 10 o'clock, you get the Hanging with Howie broadcast, and all those available over at our YouTube channel at DJNTV shows. That's what you need to look for. That's where this stuff is going to be kept. So, Cubbie, you good?
I apologize. I keep rubbing my eyes and yawning. This jet lag's still kicking my ass. So
I know he just keeps any chance he gets. He wants to rub in the fact that he was overseas vacationing, having a great old time. Sending John and I food pics all the time. Yeah, I said food.
Yeah,
there was that one time he sent the other one.
Yeah,
that was scary. But food pics about this he was doing when he was over in Rome. So
it's real. Jet lag is real. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was younger, it didn't bother as much. But holy buckets. It's kicking my ass.
What's the time difference there?
7 hours.
7 hours ahead. Okay.
So when I flew home, we woke up at 7 o'clock Rome time, which was midnight where I live in central in the Midwest. And we didn't get home back to our house till midnight the night. So we were literally up 24 hours solid. It's hard to fly on a plane coming back in time, like during the day. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, and then I said Thursday, Friday, I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to get back. So then I had my wedding on Saturday. Been busy ever since. And I was just trying to catch up from sleep.
I get it. Not really. I've never done that, but I can imagine. That there's some rough moments with that. So
hopefully I'll get better.
You will. You'll be back to your old Cubbie self in no time. Probably by next week, right?
Yes, sir. I got two events this weekend, an officiating one. And so I got to finish up my writing.
All right. Well, I guess that's your cue that we need to get going. So thank you very much for having us tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in. Those of you that were in the chat, I appreciate that. Listen, we got to have more of that, right? Those of you that are joining us, throw your comments in the chat, because I'm telling you, and for those of you that are throwing them into the wrong chat or the other YouTube, sorry. But again, we very much appreciate you. Have a great one. Hopefully your events are awesome this week, and we will see you all next time.
Yep.
Bye, everybody.